Shalom and welcome to Practical Spirituality. You're here at Aish HaTorah in the old city of Jerusalem overlooking the Temple Mount. God set us up with brains that protect us. And it has to be that way. And every animal as well, Christine, is protected by their brain system. Now, most animals they don't have what we have. Most animals have what's called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is your fight and flight mechanisms. And we also have a fight and flight. We have it. But we have something way more sophisticated. And that is, we've got in the center of the brain, we've got a network there called the default mode network. And the default mode network's job is really kind of time travel, meaning it's going to collect all data from the past. And it's going to project that data into the future to help you navigate, which is really important for us. Because see, an iguana has instincts for climbing trees and zapping flies with its tongue and stuff. Like it's built in. It's already in the factory settings for that. So what it really needs in its brain is fight and flight, which again, we have that part of our brain. It's the bottom part of the brain, the back part of the hypothalamus. We're dealing with much more complicated things than zapping flies with our tongue. Okay, much more complicated things. And human beings are highly sophisticated, as you know. And so what happens is your default mode network collects all data in the past and projects into the future. This is why if someone was giving you a ride to Tzfat, for example, the north of Israel, you'd prefer that person be 30 rather than 16. Because a 30-year-old has so much more experience behind the wheel at 80 miles per hour. And so the default mode network's going to remember every time they've ever driven at 80 miles per hour. And it's going to shut down. This is the other thing the default mode network does, is it shuts down all the rest of the networks of the brain. This has already been proven in science, that a passenger will witness all kinds of stuff driving up north that the driver, who's seeing the same view, won't see. And not only that, they've discovered that the driver thinks he's seeing it, because the mind will actually create prediction models of what's going on around him. You're grabbing a better seat?
Yeah, just want to see you,
Yeah, great.
3D.
Yeah, good. Sorry, you were right in front of the camera.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, I'll be ignoring the camera, but
No, do your thing.
The driver thinks he's seeing what the passenger's seeing, when in fact the driver's brain is actually working in predictive models on what's going on around him, to the point where the passenger sometimes says, "Did you see that?" And the driver's like, "What?" And it was some crazy thing, whatever. There was a monkey on the side of the highway or something, or whatever it was. They don't see it. I was just driving last week with someone, and there was just this most gorgeous landscape on the right that I don't know who paid for it. Certainly no municipality would pay for such a thing. And I mean, it was really something. And I guess it was the side of a mansion for a quarter mile. And I just said to the driver, "You happen to notice what's on the right?" And he looks over and he was like, "Whoa." And then he was back to the highway. We almost crashed, because we're on task. We're on task when we're going fast. But the thing is your default mode network, whose job is to shut down the rest of the brain's activity to not be overstimulated, so that you stay on task. And then, of course, predicts everything in models. So you think you're there, even though you're not. You're really just staring at the cars in front of you and watching their speed. That part of the brain is problematic because it doesn't have a switch. It doesn't have a switch. Even right now, as you sit here listening to me, make a bracha, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaro.
Amen.
Even as you sit here right now, your brain has already made up so many decisions about me. You've already made up your mind, basically, which is super sad. And because you're just going to miss this class totally, because you've already made up your mind about me. And it could be I'm reminding you of everything you've ever done wrong in your life, just by my look. And now, you mind moving back one seat? I'm going to get whiplash looking at you. Just leave your bag. So, you understand, my look itself I mean, wouldn't do that for you. You're like totally clear with me. But there are other people in here who are like, everything they've ever done wrong is coming up to them, and which is automatically like got you going 80 miles per hour, sitting still in a classroom, safe, with a person who would probably, if not definitely, give his life for you. So you understand, like, there's something wrong here, you know, for you to have to filter out the experience. You're not going 80, and you're with someone who's so extremely safe. And if something's coming up for you also, like, that's another skill, is like, you want to grow in life. What do most people do when something's coming up for them? They're just like, knock it out, you know, get it out. When in fact, when things come up for you, that's exactly where your growth is. And so all kinds of stuff comes up for us everywhere we go. You're going to a wedding, stuff comes up for us of how acceptable we are. You're doing work, suddenly comes up for you, your own ability of, you know, your own abilities, your personal performance abilities come up for you. You're going to perform something on stage, all of a sudden we're back to, you know, am I really acceptable? Am I wanted? And most rock stars don't live till 40. Because, you know, there's just no one clapping when you're in a hotel room at 2 a.m. And the funny thing is, they could have afforded to hire people to clap while they sleep. You know, just let them clap. Can you imagine the guy's like having trouble falling asleep from the clapping? He's like, just keep clapping, but quieter. But, you know, that pain in the heart, there's no way to fall asleep with that kind of pain. So you can take something to sleep, and then you got to take something to wake up. Then you got to take something to perform, and then you got to take something to go to sleep. And the human body can't handle that till, you know, over 40 years old. That's about the expectancy of such things. You'd see.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Guys, this is one of my children, Yitzi. And he's the most beautiful man in the world. He's not really my biological child, but he is nevertheless my dearest. Yitzi, there's a catch-up for the seminar for people joining today at 5:30. That's important to know. Okay. You want to sit with this bro over here? This guy's like the coolest old hippie Jew you ever met. This guy can tell you stories, man. That are like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Sleeper cell.
So the ability to be so sensitive to yourself, to always ask yourself what's coming up for you. I went back to that, by the way. What's coming up for you? That's your door. You either go through that door or stay the same your whole life. All that stuff that comes up for us that we just want to numb is where our growth is. But we're also self-medicated, whether it be with media, whether it be with alcohol, whether it be with cannabis, whether it be with our hobbies or our. I mean, I promise you that every time anything got close to me as a kid, anything that got near my stuff, and stuff started coming up for me, I was literally like lunging for my surfboard. And I would grab that board and I would drive to the beach or hitchhike to the beach before I was 16 and paddle out for 3 hours. And nothing exists out there when I'm out there in the ocean like that. None of the stuff coming up for me is out there. And then getting back, if stuff came up again, you know, there's like, you know, nothing little cannabis couldn't push out. You know? And that's a great way to never grow. Tuvia, can you put the fan on low, please? It's too loud. The bottom right corner, there's a teeny little button there. No, that's lights. Yeah, you got it. That's it. Thank you. Hey, it didn't go off. Try it again. Same button, that bottom right corner there.
That's on high.
Oh, put it back on low. Oh, it's finally bit the dust, our fan belt.
Top right.
You turned it off altogether? Listen to this. I work in music studios and stuff, and having that noise is like fingernails on a chalkboard for me. And you notice you didn't hear it? Listen to the difference in the sound quality and the high frequencies, the lows, everything's coming through. So you have So you have this default mode network whose job is to navigate, and but it shuts down outer stimulus just to protect you. And that's the way we're set up. But we're not going 80. It's actually just your father calling with like tons of unsolicited advice. Or it's your mother calling, this is for the ladies, with tons of unsolicited advice. You didn't ask for any of that. And with unsolicited advice, you suddenly get somehow immediately transformed to 9 years old. Now, how long do you spend on the phone with someone who makes you feel like you're 9?
30 seconds.
Yeah, as little as possible. Have you ever noticed they can't call at the right time? No matter when they call, it's not the right time. Meanwhile, someone else calls you a minute later and you realize, what's up? And 45 minutes later, you're still on the phone. But that's our thing, is that we're constantly medicating. And by the way, that's just another form of medicating, is hanging up early with the one person in the world who would sell their home to pay for a medical emergency. They'd sell their home to pay for a legal emergency. The one person who would be there for you no matter what is the person we've knocked out of our immediacy, because we're going 80 miles per hour when we're answering the phone, because the default mode network experienced a lot of stuff, and of the things that it experienced rejections, it experienced failures, it experienced how would you call this when other people are controlling your life? It experienced
Manipulations?
manipulations. Out of control is what's going on because someone else is in charge. Which every kid, think about it, when was the first time you actually took some control over your life? You're from a frum home. But you're from a secular home?
Yeah.
So the answer is whenever kids, the biggest number of kids when they run away, and it's 14. Yeah. If you're Hasidic, it's a week after you get married. It's the first time you make your own decisions. But until you're 14, 14's the average. Obviously, there's kids who at 12 already are autonomous. But 14's the year, the majority year where kids will take off. If things are really bad at home, they may hang in there till 14, but 14 they're out. I don't know what it is about 14. I guess probably it's when the majority, both men and women, have gone through puberty, and they're like, the voice is changing, and they're like, bye, I'm gonna go save my life from this hellhole. And so, anyway, but all those years, so we've suffered rejection, we've suffered failures, and we also suffered
Powerlessness?
Okay, yeah. We'll go with that. That's what I was hoping someone was going to fill in. I didn't know that would be the word, but powerlessness. Gotta love a word that has ESS twice.
Lessness.
Powerlessness. Cool word. Powerlessness. We've all suffered the vulnerability of what the future holds. That's big time, you have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming up for us next.
That's a good thing. Vulnerability is a good thing.
Failures are a good thing.
It's good
Being
for
able
growth,
to be
but
vulnerable is a healthy thing.
what's good for growth, but it doesn't always feel
In some
good.
instances, maybe.
Go tell that to a Hasidic woman whose kids are still single in their late 20s.
Or the street person who's really been living.
We're not discussing this right now. You've learned over your lifetime to embrace vulnerability, hopefully. And
Yeah.
those of us who have learned to embrace that are the ones who are living amazing lives, because that's where life happens, is embracing vulnerability. But this is the scariest thing in the world to embrace. You know, it is the scariest. That's why you're all single right now. Okay? Because you can't embrace that. Now, by the way, I'll just mention that it's a real big secret to marriage that no one knows, and that I'll just let you know right now, is that you've had this misconception all these years that relationships are these magical things that happen. That's it. Okay, so back on. So, just kidding. There's something you need to know. I'm just going to say this quickly because it's not really part of this. I mean, it is, but not. The relationships can only get as close as they get teeth to bite you in the butt if it doesn't work out. Relationships can only get as close as the responsibility of if it doesn't work out is going to bite you in the butt bad. So what happens is those of us who have that horrible misconception that think relationships are just these magical things that happen, but don't come with teeth that bite you if it doesn't work out, the people who are in that misconception are the ones who really stay single into their late adulthood, if not forever. And of course their hearts are broken a million times over because they keep going into the magical thing. But any magical thing that doesn't have teeth is going to eventually spit you out. You know, it's gonna leave you. You'll notice, like, what's an intimate relationship with teeth? Children and parents. Things don't work out there. It's gonna bite the parents forever. It's gonna bite the kid forever. There's major teeth there. Major teeth there. Neighbors. You're gonna be living together for years and years and years, maybe forever. You can develop a close relationship with your neighbors because there's major teeth there. Because if it doesn't work out, and you'll notice a lot of people don't choose not to be close to their neighbors because it's too much teeth. He lives right here. But some people develop endless, like, eternal relationships with neighbors because of the teeth there. It was safe. It was safe because we're not going to be able to leave each other so easily. We own our homes, and we're 2 houses away from each other. And therefore, we're going to proceed with caution. And we're going to allow someone in slowly because we're stuck with them. And what's the ultimate relationship with teeth? Marriage. Marriage is the ultimate relationship where if it doesn't work out, your life's going to turn into hell. You'll never get over it. You'll never get over a divorce. And everyone knows that. Now, it may still be better. Hell may be better than what's going on in your home. You know, hell may be the better choice. But it's hell. And therefore the closeness can come. And so all the teenage fools and young 20s fools that think they can just go into the magic and give away their hearts to someone who's going to just literally put it through the egg slicer, like, and then open it and turn it and give it a double. You know, like, all the people who give their hearts like that, we're in relationships that have no real responsibility. There's no teeth. It's a walking disaster. It's just demolition. And people are demolished over and over again, and over and over again, and over and over again, and over and over again. And it's very interesting, the relationship to the 1960s, because the entire generation that was built in the millennial world of psychedelics, which all that generation that was on the psychedelic compounds learned that there's really oneness beyond all the distinction. And if everything's really one, so then also genders are one. There's no more binary in gender. That's one. And you can just unite with anyone. And that caused the total ignorance of the necessity of teeth in a relationship, a necessity of major fallout if someone doesn't hold your heart forever. It got rid of it. And ever since then, there's been nothing but pain, suicides, and drug addictions, and Every type of disaster has come from that. And the weirdest thing about it is it came from a truth, because everything is one. But you can't just say everything's one like some giant platitude and wipe out other very important principles of life. Like the example, that the magic of relationships has to come with responsibility. It has to come with hell to pay. Like the oneness of everything is really great. But there's still such a thing as binary gender. There's no plant, animal, or bird, or fish, or human without male and female going on. You're one or the other. So the oneness of everything is just fabulous. And we all inherited that from the 60s, and that's great. But there's principles. There's realities with that God intended for our good, not for us to erase. God intended them for our good. Because when you pay attention to the principles of life, life works. And when you choose to ignore them in the platitudes of the millennial inheritance from the 1960s, you pay the price. And I watch that price being paid every day with everyone I meet. Back to our business. So but we've got these. The default mode network has these experiences. It has these experiences. And therefore, its job will be that everywhere you go, it will filter out the situation around you. Label everything with its own little concept, meaning you're going to label everything around you. Literally, like, digitize everything around you, and then carve a navigational path how to survive it, which could be a wedding, it could be a job interview, it could be a phone call from your parent, it could be your own spouse, it could be your own children, your neighbors, people in the community, people in the synagogue. Meanwhile, 90% of what you see, touch, feel, hear, taste, experience is predictive models. They've proven this already. Your brain's predicting everything around you. When you bite into an apple, how do you say your name again? Lana. Lana, when you bite into an apple, 90% of you is predicting what apples should taste like. Your eyes looking, is it red? Is it green? Is it that yellowish, sweeter one? I forget what those are called.
Honeycrisp.
What?
Honeycrisp.
And then your brain's already set you up for its taste. How freaked out would you be to bite into a red apple and get the green bitter one? How freaked out would you be?
You might not even notice.
No, you notice. You notice because your brain's already gone to predict the whole rest of your apple.
I saw this study done in person where they blindfolded, they took 2 bottles of soy milk, one chocolate milk and one vanilla milk. They blindfolded 2 people, they gave one person orange juice and one person soy milk, and they said, which one did you have? One person said chocolate and the other one said chocolate.
What?
No way. That's very interesting. And what was the takeaway?
Well,
The fan
they
might be on
were-
high now. Now it's really low.
they were-
Check the fans on low. What?
They were mind-boggled. They didn't like these, like,
That's all expectation.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm discussing something a little different though. But I'd love to see this test. Is that a
You can do
YouTuber? It's a YouTube.
No, it was
Oh, you saw it yourself.
This was done 6 years ago at my yeshiva. I still remember it.
Cool yeshiva. Okay. So meanwhile, the brain goes into, you could really call it shutdown mode, because it's really left over only 10% of experience so that you can stay on task. Clear? Now, there are different portals how to shut down the default mode network to stop protecting you when protection's unnecessary. You understand? Like, do you guys want your default mode protecting you? when protection's absolutely unnecessary. I already gave the example of this classroom. Like, you need your default mode network right now? Is that going to be helpful?
With attention.
You should know there's some of you, I'll give you an example. This occurred recently also. Raise your hand. Don't be embarrassed. You're not being filmed. Raise your hand if school went really not well when you were growing up.
What do you mean? Like, we failed classes or like?
Don't worry about it. If you have to ask, you don't have your hand up, okay? Everyone has their hand up, know exactly what I'm talking about. This requires no definition. Okay, so the four of you. You ready for this? Look where we are right now. You're sitting in a seat amongst pupils. I'm changing words now. Amongst pupils. Board. Whiteboard. Teacher. Your default mode network's saying, right now, just get through it. Get me the hell out of here, but you understand what I'm talking about? You get what I'm saying? She doesn't, because she's my student. She's been here forever. These two are nodding away, you know?
No, it's the subject's different.
You're already above that, because you've been with me forever, and you know, you get, there's the subject's different, the context is different, there's no reason for us to be, but you guys know what an overhead projector is with transparencies?
Yeah.
Or like an anatomy book with transparencies? So you guys realize that you had a transparency over this class. Because it's set up exactly like that. Your default mode network went like red flag, classroom. Shut down the experience. Now, I'm really good at shutting down your default mode network, so it could be I've been shutting it down this whole time. I've noticed you've been very connected, so I have a feeling I've broken through it for you. You notice that? Okay, but that's my skill, is I know how to break through people's default mode networks, which is really fun, by the way. You know, I can really mess with people. You know, it's great. Like I'll mess with like a whole busload of Christians. You know, I'll just like, you know, if I happen to know the tour guide, I'll just say, "Do you mind if I take the mic?" You know, I jump up on the bus and I'm like, "Hi everyone, I'm Rabbi Glazer, and just gonna say a few words to y'all." And I'll just like bust through all their default mode networks, what they want to do with such a guy presenting to them, just to mess with people. It's a lot of fun. Slide a teeny bit this way. So anyway, there's different ways to shut down the default mode network. One of the more popular ones is meditation. Meditation shuts down the default mode network, and it has already been proven in MRIs that you can shut it down through meditation, meaning they've put people in what are called fMRIs, which show the whole brain, and they've seen the default mode network just goes blank when someone's meditating. So they go into deep meditation, then slide them into the tube, and the default mode network's just off. And they'll even have them go in with it on, start his meditation, they'll watch it shut down.
Is this the hypothalamus you're talking about? Or is
No,
this
there's
hypothalamus
way more advanced than that.
Okay.
Hypothalamus is like the reptilian brain. This
Okay,
is
so it's
unique to
totally different
humans. Yeah,
Okay.
it's unique to humans because humans have much more complex, sophisticated interactions with the world. And so the another way that they've now just proven in Johns Hopkins and University and several other universities are doing, including in Israel, is they've been using psilocybin, which is part of the mushroom fungus family. That they've used the same fMRIs and literally they put them in before the mushrooms take effect. Default mode networks in full action, and then you just slowly watch it disappear, and then all of a sudden that person's brain gets completely networked. They're able to watch the brain network again in full experience, which is really something very fascinating. And they know this now. This is a fact, and they're now treating therapy-resistant depression, therapy-resistant anxiety, therapy-resistant addictions, therapy-resistant trauma, meaning PTSD, with this just by networking the brain again. because the thing about what is PTSD, for example, is that every situation you're in seems like a vulnerable moment that could be a recreation. I myself was held up at gunpoint and then put in execution position, and I was the only person that wasn't killed in a month straight from this gang, and it was as a rabbi, you know, like all I was doing was talking to two guys outside of a class I had just taught in an alley in Los Angeles, and the three of us, three big dudes, and us on the ground, execution style, with three guns in our heads. We're the only people who weren't killed because a car drove down the alley and, you know, saw what was going on, and they just ran before they got caught. They wound up getting caught. Thank God I didn't have to fly to be a witness, because the two students who I was talking to were able to identify them in a lineup. Anyway, but you want to hear the crazy thing? That the few days before I left LA, whenever I'd pull up at a red light, and if cars, you know, like let's say I'm in the middle lane, two cars pulled up, or one car or two cars pulled up next to me, I would look both ways to see if any cars were going the other way, and I'd just drive straight through the red.
Why?
You understand? Because my default mode network was telling me that I'm gonna get shot if anyone comes and pulls up next to me. It's that overlaid transparency that was being put over every situation. It's a hyperactive default mode network. But gentlemen, ladies, you all have a hyperactive default mode network, and that's why we'd rather catch a cold than show up to Thanksgiving. It's just hyperactive. I mean, you can't get an appointment with a therapist within a month of Thanksgiving. I mean, you got to book way in advance if you want to get in there, because everyone's getting ready to deal with who they're going to see there. It's amazing we voluntarily go into these situations. And meanwhile, these are, you know what they call these on Hallmark cards? They're called loved ones. Loved ones.
There's a saying, when you think you're really enlightened, go spend a few weeks with your parents.
Yes, our parents are like, navigating our parents is really pretty intense. And we choose to orphan ourselves. We choose to orphan ourselves from our parents rather than deal with what's coming up for us and get in touch with what's really there. We'll medicate that away way before we'll get in touch with the two people who would do anything for us. We will orphan ourselves from them. And you should know that's the scariest thing is they're going to die one day, and for some reason you're going to blame yourself for all the years you shut them out. Have you ever noticed how innocent dead people are? It's an amazing thing that once people are 6 feet under, you can't even remember why they bothered you or what was wrong with them. It's a weird phenomenon, but I promise you it's coming. Where anyone you know who's alive that aggravates you, when they pass away, you just can't figure out what was bothering you about them. Now, if this is a parent who you've already removed from your like center stage, there's a guilt that hits like, oh my gosh, you wind up like mourning. You wind up mourning that you killed them years ago, rather than mourning them. You're not actually mourning them. You're mourning that you knocked them out. You knocked them off. I had someone call me last year that he just finished mourning his father, and he wanted to thank me. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said that he sat with all his siblings mourning for the week. We sit on the floor for a week after someone passes away. So he said he finished mourning his father. He said he was the only one who mourned his father because he's a graduate of my seminar work, which is tonight at 5:30. He graduated the seminar and did all his work. He did all his work regarding his father. He did a ton of work about his career and about what he does for a living and all the, you know, and his relationship with his wife and et cetera, et cetera. But he did the work with his father. And he even called his father and did the work with his father. Of course, his father didn't know what in the world he was talking about the whole time. But it doesn't matter. He said what needed to get said. And he said that he sat and mourned his father, and he wanted to thank me for that because all his siblings mourned the fact that they knocked him off when they were teenagers. And he got his father back. Once he got his default mode network where it belongs, he was able to shut that thing down and suddenly see his father. I remember the first time I had my default mode network shut down and I saw my father, I started crying. And he's like, "Why are you crying?" And I didn't do this, but I so wanted to just touch his face. Like, I finally saw him. I just wanted to touch his face and like just feel its contours because I never saw it before. It always represented me being 9. And so I couldn't really see his face. And today I can't stop seeing his face. He's so beautiful, he's so dedicated, so awesome. And all that unsolicited advice. You know, notice that, what's your name?
Morris.
Oh yeah, Morris. Morris, did my father ever call you about your financials?
My dad?
Yeah. No, my dad ever call you?
Oh, no.
They were calling, "Why does this man in Los Angeles keep phoning me?" And the answer is because he loves me. And his language of love is this advice that he just can't stop giving. Because he wants to see me make it. I don't know if this is physiological and built in all animals to see their progeny succeed. But I'll tell you this, I missed it because of my default mode network could not stop putting a transparency over him called 9-year-old little boy, me. And I almost missed my life with my father. I got off the phone with him close to 2 decades. I got off the phone with him within 30 seconds.
How do you change it?
So a third way I discovered, thanks for asking, perfect timing. The third way I discovered, and this I discovered in 2001, after 5 years working in hypnosis. I'm trained in hypnotherapy. I worked in hypnosis for 5 years. You may notice that I've been hypnotizing you this entire time, but it's not purposeful. I spent 9 to 7 p.m. every single day for 5 years straight putting people into hypnosis. I'm a public speaker and I've got a special kind of voice for this kind of work. So, people don't usually fall asleep while I'm speaking. They're just kind of locked on while I'm going. But that's my background. I'm not trying to do it. And believe me, I usually, you'd be shocked. So I know a lot about Torah that would compel you to keep it. You can imagine. Like, I know a lot about the secular world. I grew up there. I only learned Aleph Bet when I was 23. And I know a lot about the Torah world such that I could share with you things that would compel you to keep it. But when I'm teaching that stuff, that material, I only go to a certain level. I like the other person to fill in a lot of the blanks, connect their own dots, because I don't want to take away from them the choice and the free will and the process and the journey and that's so important. If you guys gave me an hour, I could rip away every ounce of free will you got in this room, and you'd all be keeping Shabbat this week.
Notice this doesn't work.
And I would never. You understand? I would never do that, because that's, to me, that's highway robbery. That's stealing. I'm not going to steal from people, and especially not steal the most intimate relationship we've got, and that's the relationship with our Creator, and that has to be discovered. And that can only be discovered by you. It's a process that you have to undertake. It's special and it's sacred and it's not to be taken away from a person. And I've held by that for 28 years here at Aish Torah. I'm working that way. I'm not saying the other rabbis do, but I've always done that. Very carefully left free will intact for the people listening. Now, a third way I discovered in 2001 after 5 years of doing hypnotherapy was that if you get a group of people to commit to spending 3 or more days. Has to be 3, can't do under 3. If you do 2 days, I don't care if it's all day the 2 days. I don't care if everyone has to start at 6 in the morning and you end at 1 with me leading it. It will not work. That you can't, there's certain ways you can shut down the default mode network. And the way it works is with you need time, 3 days minimum, lots of hours. And what you do is, this is the crazy thing, is that the default mode network can only do its job as long as you don't look at it. Meaning I've been messing with you guys so much this hour because I have you looking at a part of your body, part of your physiology that would rather you didn't pay attention to it so it can keep navigating for you. It's there to protect you. It doesn't want you aware of it. But it's what I'm telling you is it's stealing your experience of life. It's ripping you off big time. I mean, those who are afraid of getting ripped off, you've been ripping yourself off all these years. You're getting ripped off by a predictive modeler called the default mode network, helping you navigate things that require 0 navigation. Apples do not need navigation, man. Fathers don't need navigation. Thanksgiving doesn't need any navigation. Your career needs no navigation. If you're great at something, man, shine your light. You don't have to navigate that. It's 0 stress. You don't need anyone to clap either. You do it effortlessly because it's just a function of who God created you to be. And so one of the things the default mode network can't deal with is you looking at it. It just doesn't like that very much. It doesn't know how to deal with that. Now, of course, I could get you guys to look at it this hour and trip you out a little bit. But to get it to actually shut down requires 3 days. Now, this is also proven in what do you call the people who are in charge of dealing with information from enemy countries? What is it called? Intelligence organizations? Yeah. So this is also a known fact in intelligence organizations in that when they catch a spy, they don't bother him too much till day 3. You understand? I mean, they'll scare him, they'll hold him, he's in trouble, for sure, but they're not expecting anything to come out till day 3, day 4. Because what happens is the human brain, meaning specifically the default mode network, cannot survive a 3-day onslaught. Now here's the coolest part about it, is that if you attack the default mode network with the actual information that it's predicting for, you listening carefully? You got to hear this. This is the important part. If you attack the default mode network with the actual info it's predicting for, it gets tased. It just gets tased. Exactly like the mushroom experience, only this is not, because something's in your bloodstream. This is you literally tasing the default mode network with the very stuff that it's very specific. Like I'm talking fine specifics, like real fine specifics of what it's predicting for. It gets it's like a deer in headlights, and it drops its game, and the rest of your brain starts networking. I have men married 20 years come into my seminar work. They get home Friday night to their Shabbos table. Their wife's over there, the kids lining the table. Can you shut off the AC again? Their wife's lining the table. Their wife's over there, the kids are lining the table. And the guy gets up there, he's like regular Shabbos night, getting ready to make kiddush, looks if everyone's paying attention because he's going to help them fulfill the commandment, so you got to look, see if everyone's ready. And he just bursts out sobbing convulsively and can't stop. Just like me looking at my father's face, this guy's looking at his wife and realized he never married her. This was a match made by his parents. And all these kids came out of it. And he's been just living inside his predictive models all these years. And they're no longer predicting anything. He's seeing them. And then like he literally prays as quick as he can in the morning and runs over to his mother's house. His father's in shul too. You know, these Hasidic families are like, you know, it's very nuclear, like everyone's together a lot. So he like finishes his prayers as quickly as possible, runs to his mother just to go see her. And just see his mother for the first time. It is unbelievable work of what is available and what is possible for us. Now, you ready for this? This is the craziest part that I'm going to add to layer this. Like, you just won't believe this part. You know the law of attraction? You know the law of attraction? You know how like we're like vibrational satellite dishes for what's coming at us? I just had Shalom, how you doing? Oh, thank you. Close, quick, just for a second. I got it. I forgot we have a clock. Normally you just have no idea what time it is here, so we just go till someone walks in, but there is a clock. I just had a head of a municipal department of a city. They just came, she and her husband just came to speak to me. They've been accused of stuff that's already been proven not true by someone trying to rise up the ranks, but they've been falsely accused and have gone through hell as a result. So I asked her, tell me, when were you falsely accused as a young girl? And she bursts out crying and starts telling us, me and her husband, a story that he had never heard when she was 13. Here's the crazy part, is the very stuff your default mode network is actually projecting to navigate for you, it's the stuff you're most worried about is exactly what keeps happening. It's the weirdest thing. But it becomes a vibrational reality that attracts into your life exactly what you don't want.
What you resist persists.
Exactly. So here, I just turned this sci-fi. Because the default mode network that's been set up to protect you is actually causing your downfall. As you all know it, like stuff just keeps coming. That's part of the themes from childhood. And you can also stop that forever. You can just get rid of that. It doesn't come anymore. Anyone who's like, for example, verbally abusive, they'll just find someone else to bother. You're no longer listening for this. So listen, here's the facts. I just want to tell you all something that's just an opportunity. I run it around the world in English. Here I run it only in Hebrew. I just opened an English one. I haven't done an English one in a very long time. Today at 5:30 is the English one. And I'm going to give my WhatsApp number for anyone who would like to come. Anyone here doesn't have WhatsApp who would like to come to this, you'd have to come fully committed. But it's 5:30 this evening till Thursday night. If you'd like to be part of it, this is your chance to get in. This is when it's happening. I went to an English one. There's reasons why my staff wants an English one. So we're doing one in English. Starts tonight, 5:30.
Where is it?
It's in Nachlo, but it's men. It's men's. We can't do it because there's so much gender stuff comes up that we have to have women's ones and men's ones. Anyway, it's tonight, 5:30 through Thursday. Okay, the price of it's $750. There are scholarship discounts. If people need $750 US, there's scholarship discounts. If anyone needs that discount, they will get it. You don't even, no questions asked. If you really need it, you'll get it, and which is $500 US. And it starts tonight, and it's 5:30 p.m. through late at night. Tomorrow night till late at night, all the way till Thursday night till like midnight, and it is. There, if you'd like to do it in America, I'll be in America in end of July, and I have England. England's going to be in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I think I have London in English. So if you guys want this opportunity, I suggest people have changed their plans. People have flown in. People have switched flights just to be there for this tonight. So if you're here in Jerusalem, I'm running in English. I have a feeling that nothing's by coincidence. So if you want to do it, it's available to you. And it's at Shomron 1, right near Ben Yehuda, King George. And my number I'll put on the board. And my email is plus 972 52 834 4664. It's Yom Tov Laser at Gmail. Okay, so your chances tonight, and the address again is Showroom 1. In Nachlaot. I highly suggest showing up there. You will thank me forever, and any of you who are in the business of making money, you will be making much more when you stop filtering out your experience of business and start getting real present there. Everyone's going to want to work with you. And as a performer, I'll say that this has been what's made my career something very relaxing and beautiful. Shalom, everyone. Shkoyach.